This is my WWE Judgment Day 2008 review. First matchup was John Cena versus JBL. This was a shocker that this was the opener, because I think this is the first time in a long time, since probably 2004, that John Cena was actually the opener of a pay-per-view. So that kind of spelled the match wasn't going to be great. You saw some decent stuff in this match. It did go a different approach than what I thought it would go. It was a little technical based from JBL at the beginning, wearing down John Cena, I guess, so he couldn't do the STFU in the FU. This was actually a decent opener, but it dragged on a little ways, that it went a little longer than what it should have, especially for being the opener. But a decent overall match, about 2 1/4 star. Cena comes up with the victory by defeating him with the SFU, and decent match overall. Then the next match is the WWE Tag Team Title Match with John Morrison and The Miz versus CM Punk and Kane. And just like I predicted, this wasn't a terrible match, but it wasn't a good match. It was just a decent match between these two teams. When CM Punk was in the ring with John Morrison and The Miz, it was actually decent. Kane getting in there at some points hurt the match, but it wasn't the worst it could have been. It could have been a whole lot worse than what it was. But overall, just a decent match. Like I said, CM Punk was the one to do the job in the match. Morrison pinned him after Kane was outside the ring, chokeslammed The Miz. But some reason this was terrible. That didn't make sense. Kane was already out there, chokeslammed him, and Kane basically stood there while CM Punk was getting pinned. So that didn't really make any sense. About a 2-star match at best. Then the next matchup was Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels, which, in my opinion, was the match of the night. And thankfully, the ending of this match wasn't ruined by interference of Batista. You saw some good in-ring work from these two, some good technical stuff, great reversals, just a very good match. Enjoyed it a whole lot. Obviously, it wasn't as good as WrestleMania 19, but in some portions they did some different stuff in this match from that match that made this match enjoyable. So overall, it was good and easily the match of the night. About a 3.5-star match, I would say. Maybe that's giving it a little too high, but I did enjoy it a whole lot. Shawn Michaels gets the victory after during the match, Jericho tried to hit the walls of Jericho, and Shawn Michaels just rolled him up, so that was the end of the match. That hurt it a little, but it still was a very enjoyable match. Then the next matchup was the WWE Women's Championship match, 3-way with Mickie James, Beth Pheonix, and Melina. This was actually a decent WWE Women's match, which is few and far between with the women's matches / diva matches WWE does. But it was actually enjoyable, and it got the appropriate time. It didn't run too short, didn't run too long. Just a good overall match, and Mickie James retains and is still the WWE Women's Champion. About a 2 1/4 star match. Then the next matchup was Undertaker versus Edge for the World Heavyweight title for SmackDown. And you saw some good stuff in here. Some good stuff at the beginning. It dragged on a little bit. Was slow in some portions, but the main thing that really hurt this match was the ending of this. You saw Undertaker and Edge both brawling outside, and Undertaker got back in before the 10 count. Edge was counted out, so Undertaker at first was granted of being the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. This led to Vicky Guerrero coming out here in a long, drawn-out speech where she kept on repeating what she kept saying, probably 10 to 15 times, that it dragged on so much that it was a waste of space being on the pay-per-view. So this added to that, since she said something where since Undertaker didn't get it by pinfall or submission, the title is still vacant. So after all this build up to this, there is no World Heavyweight Champion. The match was good, but the ending really hurt this match. If this would have had a decisive winner, it probably would have been, just like their WrestleMania and Backlash matches, at the lowest a 4-star match. But the ending of this really probably hurt it to about a 3-star to maybe a 3 1/4 star at best. But it was still good, but still this doesn't make any sense. So this is probably going to lead up to some gimmick match at the One Night Stand pay-per-view that's coming up in 2 weeks, obviously, since they don't have really that much time to build up to that. Then the next match was, I already heard about this earlier in the day, which is a match that just got added to the pay-per-view. Thankfully, they took off Big Show and Mark Henry and replaced it with M.V.P. versus Jeff Hardy. This was an enjoyable match, pretty short, but some good stuff in here from both of them. The ending basically came out of nowhere. I guess Jeff Hardy now is starting to win some of his matches mainly from the Whisper in the Wind instead of the Twist of Fate and the Swanton. So that kind of hurt it a little, but I would say about a 2-star match at best. You saw some good stuff in here. The good thing of this pay-per-view was that there was nothing, terrible. All these matches were at least, decent to good, and some of the matches like the Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho match were pretty excellent, and some of the other matches were good as well. Then led up to the last and final match, the main event for the WWE title inside of a steel cage between Triple H and Randy Orton. And this was a good match. Obviously, these two, I'm probably not the only one that's going to say this is, these two have took on each other so many times that you're not going to see that many different stuff in the match. So it's hard to do a different type of match with these two, even though it's a gimmick match. Still, just a generic match between these two. Nothing terrible, nothing great, just a good overall cage match. Enjoyed some spots in it. A decent match, not a decent match, a very good match, but I felt it should have been a little better. And Triple H comes up with the victory. It doesn't surprise me, but I was thinking that he might have lost the title due to the fact of him trying to get to Flair's run, but I guess he wants to at least have a good title run after just beating Orton, so that's one thing. So obviously we got another WWE. Obviously, I'll say this match delivered in some portions. Good in-ring wrestling from both of them, but it fell a little short. I would say about a 3.25 star match. I did enjoy it, but it should have been a whole lot better. As a whole, I would say this pay-per-view is about a 7.5. I would say I actually enjoyed this pay-per-view more than Backlash because, in my opinion, this pay-per-view from top to bottom at least had every match at least was delivered what it should have. You got a very good match between Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho. The world title match on SmackDown could have been better. The ending was terrible and still a vacant title, so it was basically a pointless match, but you still saw some good stuff from Edge and Undertaker in here, and you saw a pretty good cage match between Triple H and Randy Orton, and the rest of the card was about, decent to good matches. So I will say it's not a pay-per-view I would recommend you going out your way to see, but it's definitely worth the watch. And